So your question is about, you're wondering about homework 3 problem. We know the unit price of labor and unit price of capital. And your goal is to find, based on budget curves, you want to find the expansion path, right?
Right.
Okay.
So I graphed my TC, AC, and MC, but then the
But
graphs
you may not
does
need
not.
TC, AC, and MC. Can you go back to the problem statement real quick?
Yeah, okay.
Yes, okay. So here, you know, Q is L raised to power half, C raised to power half, right? Right, so you can create, so I think what you need here is, first thing you need is the expansion, I mean, the isoquants. How can you create isoquants? So let's say, because you have in the Excel chart that you had labor on the x-axis, capital on the y-axis. What is the relationship? How can you produce some number of cars? Let's go with, like, I don't know, 100 cars. What are different combinations of L and C that will give you 100 cars? So start there, I think.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And you could do the same thing with 200 cars, 500 cars, 1,000 cars, whatever. So maybe you can create some isoquants first. So instead of creating the cost curves yet, because I don't think we need that here, because the cost curves are essentially, all of that will come from expansion path, like, you know, how, so cost curves come after the expansion path. We are actually trying to come up with the cost curves equation first. So we're not going to have to draw them as much as we are going to have to figure out, if you want to produce more cars, how should it go? So, so yeah, so you should probably just start with the fact that, okay, I'm just going to go and create 100 cars and 200 cars and 500 cars and try to draw some isoquants.
Okay.
Okay.
I will do that.
One thing. That's one thing.
Okay.
And then draw some budget curves, you know.
Okay.
Budget curves would be like, price of labor is $5, price of capital is $10. So your budget will be, your budget equation will almost be, let's say your budget, you're calling it B. So let me text it. Let's say you're calling your budget to be B, right?
Yes.
So your B is essentially equal to 5 times L, because it's plus 10 times C, right?
Yes.
So then you could do the same thing with budget. And let's say with $100 budget, what are the different combinations of L and C with which you can spend $100, and then $200 and $500 and $1,000, like that.
Okay.
And then what you'll do is you'll plot that out also on the same LC axis in which you created the isoquants.
Okay.
So you have this equation, right? Q equal to L raised to power half times C raised to power, right? Right. So I think what you should do is you should create, and then what should be the value of B and Q doesn't matter. Like, just pick any value of B and Q and try to come up with graphs like this. If you can go up on the slides here. I want to go to that where we actually created the expansion path, not here. Page up, page up. Further. This is what you want to do is, like, you want to create. So this first one, the equation B equation, will give you these lines, these broken lines.
Yeah.
So you'll get these broken lines. And then this equation, when you create it like at 10 cards or 20 cards or 100 cards or 500 cards, different values of Q are going to give you these isoquants.
Okay.
And then, you know, by some trial and error, you can try to get to the point where the budget lines are tangent to these isoquants, because if you draw them all on the same chart, they might be completely off from each other, because you know, I'm just saying, randomly saying, like, do a budget of 500 and 800 and 1,000 and then do number of cards being 100 and 200 and 300. So these curves, the isoquants and the budget curves, may not completely align with each other at all. Like they might be in completely different places in Excel. So once you see one or the two, both of those graphs together, you might be able to get some idea about what budget number will get you, will help you find the tangents to these isoquants. So then you will basically change your B equations to be somewhat in line with tangent, so that they become tangents to these isoquants. And once you find those tangents to isoquants, you'll be able to join those points to get what your, to get the equation of what your expansion path looks like. But I think the important thing would be to draw these equations, to draw these lines at randomly chosen values of B and Q. And then based on that, find the lines B, or find the B lines that will actually be tangents to your expansion, to your isoquants. Okay. And then that, once you find those tangent points, and then joining those tangent points will get you to that expansion path. There's also a mathematical way of doing that, but I'll talk about that in the class once we are done with it. So I want you to focus on the Excel method for now is fine.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So let's go ahead and try it and let me know what happens. Okay.